Hello guys, XP Gamer here once again. In this video, I'm talking about where I personally think Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will take place in the Zelda timeline. And I'll show you the Zelda timeline real quick right now in case you forget. So, the Breath of the Wild timeline, the Zelda timeline, not Breath of the Wild. It goes from Skyward Sword to Ocarina of Time, and then, depending on whether the hero is successful or fails, it branches into 3 different parts. If he's successful, it goes into the child era with Majora's Mask down, or the adult era with some other games. I think it has the Legend of Zelda and the Zelda 2, not A Link to the Past, whatever. And if he fails, that goes into the Wind Waker, where it's all drowned out, and then Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, I think. Sorry if I got this wrong. But Breath of the Wild has been pretty much confirmed to not take place in the adult timeline. And, also, before I get into anything, most of my opinion on where it will take place is thanks to HMK, one of my favorite YouTubers. He does like Zelda theories, Nintendo theories, gameplays. He just did a Majora's Mask 3-heart challenge, stuff like that. And he did a video on this, and that's kind of where I got some of my inspiration from this video. But so it doesn't take place in the adult timeline, and I don't think it comes after Wind Waker. A lot of people do because Hyrule's in this ruined state, and then there's the old man, and there's the Koroks, which is the main reason, well, one of the main reasons people think it takes place in or after Wind Waker. I don't think so, because the Koroks could have easily evolved again. Like, say, like, I personally think it's somewhere after Skyward Sword. So say, like, the Kikwi, I think, they could have evolved into the Koroks, or the Koroks, and that's how the Koroks are in Breath of the Wild. Why would they evolve? Or maybe they could be a new species that started off in Breath of the Wild, but they could have evolved from the Kikwi, and because, like, the sky comes crashing down and stuff at the end of the game to, since it's not, like, technically safe down there on the actual land, so the Kikwi could have evolved into the Koroks to be able to, like, fly away from, like, the crashing land or something like that. And then, after they didn't need the ability to fly anymore, they could have evolved into the Kokiri, and then they could evolve again into the Koroks once more because they needed to escape the flood. Now, I don't know how evolution works. I don't know if you could evolve from Kikwi, Korok, Kokiri, and then Korok again. Not sure, but I do not think that it comes after Wind Waker. And at the end of Wind Waker, this is pretty much all inspired by HMK right here, the flood just completely destroys Hyrule. Completely destroys it. In Wind Waker, you can see that a lot of the land is still, like, not completely destroyed. Like, there are people intact and stuff. And, so, in Wind Waker, it's completely ruined. But in Breath of the Wild, it's still somewhat intact. Like, after that giant flood, everything would be destroyed. There wouldn't even be any remains of buildings or anything like you see in Breath of the Wild. Another thing. There's the spring. In Skyward Sword, Zelda bathes in what was it, Lanayru or Faron Springs at the end of the first dungeon. And those springs, the Faron or Lanayru Springs, I forget what it's called, but they're identical to the springs we see Zelda bathing in the most recent trailer for Breath of the Wild. They look almost exactly the same, except the one in Breath of the Wild clearly has been destroyed or just neglected over time, over the 100 years between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. So, granted, those springs could have been, like, inspired from Skyward Sword, like, a tribe that, like, remembered the springs, and they just made a spring that looks like it in memorial, so it, like, in case you think it's after, somewhere that's not after Skyward Sword. But another thing, as the timeline goes by, clearly the Sheikah have a big impact in Skyward Sword. Well, not big, but as big as it is in the series. And then, as you go down the timeline, the Sheikah are less mentioned. Like in Wind Waker, there's not a word spoken about them. That could be because in Breath of the Wild, the Sheikah are banished underground. If you didn't know about that, it's pretty much confirmed. See another video about that, something about Sheikahs being banished, but it is confirmed. And that could be why they're hiding under the shrines. And then, in the most recent trailer, the most recent, I don't think it's most recent trailer, they show this enemy. That enemy has a Sheikah mask flipped upside down in red, meaning it could be a Sheikah that turned on the royal family because they were banished. So it turned bad in hopes to get their kingdom back. And maybe that's why, I mean, despite the fact that they were banished in the first place, that could be why we hear less of them now. But the fact that some of them defected and went against the royal family, that could also be why we hear less and less of the Sheikah as the timeline passes. But then, there's still Sheik. Or no, not Sheik, that's just Zelda. There's still Impa. Impa is still in a lot of games. She's in Ocarina of Time, more, but Ocarina of Time, I think. And a few other games. Impa, maybe, well, here in this picture I'm about to pull up, we see a village. This picture was released a few days ago for Breath of the Wild, and this is clearly a Sheikah village. There's a Sheikah eye in the middle banner of that house, if you saw it. And that clearly means that this village, which is clearly hidden, and you're gonna have to climb over a ledge or something to find it, could be the hidden Sheikah village, or maybe Kakariko village. So maybe, I keep trying to say Sheik, Impa, maybe Impa lives in this village. And maybe the royal family finds this village, and clearly Link won't be harmed or threatened in this village. This is a nice village, clearly. So maybe the royal family finds this village, realizes that Impa, who lives here, means no harm and just wants to be back with the royal family, and that's why you don't hear of many Sheikah, you only hear of Impa in the new games, or in the games after Skyward Sword. And so maybe they realize since Impa's good, they keep Impa as the protector of the royal family, and that's why we hear of her through all the games, and not much of just the Sheikah tribe in general. So that's why I think Breath of the Wild takes place after Skyward Sword. And I know there are flaws, pretty much like every single theory I've heard about the timeline placement has some flaws in it, one way or another, but you can't avoid that. There's gonna be something that people won't believe, so just tell me what you think, where you think Breath of the Wild will be in the timeline. I'm XP Gamer. Leave a like if you like this video and you want more theories. Well, probably not theories, I'm not going to do these very often, but gaming videos, LPs. I know I said this a lot, I will get better quality for my LPs, unlike that first video. Subscribe, turn on my notifications for more videos like this. I'm XP Gamer, and I'll see you guys next time.